Think all skilled visas in Australia are the same? Think again. One might delay your citizenship by a year. Another could cost you over $10,000 in school fees. And if you choose a wrong, you might not be able to sponsor your parents even years later. This isn't fear, it's fact. In the next few minutes, I'll unpack the real-world impact of choosing visas 189, 190 or 491 and what no one tells you about life after the grant. Hi there and welcome back to Sydney Visa. Today we're continuing our breakdown of the skilled visa subclasses 189, 190 and 491. In the previous video, I outlined the key structural differences between them. Now we are going to get a little more practical and take a closer look at what a day-to-day life looks like on each of these visas. Let's quickly recap what we're talking about. Subclass 189, so that's the independent skilled visa. It's permanent, point-based, no sponsorship is required. Subclass 190 is the state-sponsored skilled visa. It is also permanent, but requires a nomination from a state or territory. Subclass 491, it's the regional sponsored skilled visa. This is a provisional visa that leads to permanent residency after 3 years, assuming you meet the criteria. For simplicity, I'll refer to them as independent, sponsored, and regional. Both of the independent and sponsored visas are permanent visas from day one. The regional visa is temporary, but designed as a direct pathway to permanent residency. If you meet the conditions, that is, primarily the main condition is the 3 years of living and working in a designated regional area that sponsored you. So working and being legally employed is mandatory. If you meet them, you'll be eligible to apply for visa 191, the permanent visa. Once that is granted, 191 gives you the same permanent resident status as someone on the independent visa. Here's something many people overlook and don't want a regional visa. Your citizenship clock starts ticking the moment you enter Australia, even if you arrive on a regional visa. So to be eligible for Australian citizenship, you generally need to have lived in Australia for 4 years, including 12 months as a permanent resident. So if you hold a regional visa and get your 191 visa after the 3 years, as per the requirement, you'll only need to spend 1 more year as a PR before applying for citizenship. So in terms of time to passport, all 3 visas get you there in roughly the same time frame, assuming you follow the right path and there is no general delays. All 3 visas allow you to include family members in your application. This includes your spouse or de facto partner and your dependent children under the age of 18 or under 23 if they are still financially dependent or studying full-time. Keep in mind that parents and siblings are not eligible to be included as part of the main visa application. They require a separate sponsorship pathway. Here's where we start to see the differences. The independent visas have no location restrictions. You can live and work anywhere in Australia from day one. The sponsored and regional visas, however, come with conditions. So if you hold a sponsored visa, the 190, you are expected to live in a nominating state for at least 3 years. There is no requirement to work in your nominated occupation or meet any income threshold, or even you're not even required to work if you don't want to. But you are expected to remain in the state and have your permanent address there, residential address. If you are on a regional visa, the rules are stricter. You must live and work in a designated regional area for a minimum of 3 years. And the fact that you need to work is mandatory. So you need to submit the 3 years of your tax return before you are eligible for the 191 visa. All 3 visas give you the full work rights. There is no restrictions. You are not tied to a specific employer or required to work in the same occupation you nominated in your visa application. That said, for state original sponsored visa, you are expected to stay within the area that sponsored you, as I have mentioned previously. Permanent visas, the independent and sponsored, come with the 5-year travel facility. This means you can enter and leave Australia as many times as you like for 5 years. After that, if you haven't gotten your citizenship and your passport, you will need to apply for a resident return visa in order to re-enter the country. On a regional visa, also allows you for multiple entries and exits, but the 5-year period is fixed. That's 5 calendar years from the date of first entry, not 5 cumulative years spent in Australia. All 3 years grant access to Medicare, Australia's public healthcare system. This is an important upgrade compared to the now defunct 489 visa, which didn't provide Medicare access. So having Medicare coverage significantly reduces out-of-pocket costs for doctor visit, hospital care and prescriptions, especially valuable for families and new arrivals. Childcare in Australia is mostly private, and yes, it can be expensive. In Sydney, expect to pay around $150 per day per child. However, there is a childcare subsidy available for citizens and permanent residents. It can cover up to 85% of the fees, but it is means tested and both parents need to be working or studying. Original visa holders are not eligible for the study subsidy, unfortunately. Public school education is free for citizens and permanent residents. On a regional visa, you will need to pay international fees or at a discounted rate, depending on the state. In New South Wales, for example, expect around to pay about $5,000 per child per year. For higher education, everybody pays tuition, but fees differ. International students on student visas pay at least $25,000 per year or more. Domestic students, so the citizens and the permanent residents, about $5,000 to $8,000 a year. And additionally, Australian citizens can defer tuition under the HECS Help Loan Scheme, which unfortunately isn't available to permanent residents or regional visa holders. So you need to be a citizen to be able to apply for that. Some universities do offer discount to regional visa holders, but this varies by institution and state. Only citizens and permanent residents, so 189 or 190 holders, can sponsor family members such as parents. So for sponsor them for permanent migration. So if you're on a regional visa, you won't have access to this right until you convert to permanent residency and show that you have lived in Australia as an established resident. Each of these visas has its own advantages and trade-offs, but at the end they're all valid and structured pathways to permanent residency in Australia and to Australian citizenship. Choosing the right one for your situation is the key. At Sydney Visa, we offer a free visa eligibility assessment. Just complete a survey with the short link below and we'll give you an expert advice on your chances, including help selecting the right occupation and migration strategy and maybe choosing the right visa. Make sure to include detailed information about your education and work history. It helps us help you. And if you found this video helpful, give it a like and subscribe to the channel. We regularly post breakdowns, updates and case studies to help you navigate your migration journey and Australian migration journey. So if you got any questions, drop them in the comments. We do read them and we answer them. So thank you for watching and see you in the next one. Bye from Down Under.